So it all started out of boredom. I had been doing the same job for many years. Same classroom, same curriculum, same schedule, so much sameness. I entertained myself for a while by coming up with new projects and ideas or adding more stuff to my plate, but even that grew pretty stale pretty quickly. I saw a lot of initiatives and educational fads come and go. I had been through 4 principals and 4 superintendents. I saw a lot of my friends retiring. I saw some of my friends having kids and leaving the classroom to become stay-at-home moms, and frankly, I was jealous. Everything seemed more exciting than what I was doing. So when my district posted a brand new position within the district, I was so ready for it. It was meant for me. I interviewed and I waited for that phone call to tell me that I had gotten the job. But that's not what happened. So when I didn't get the job, I didn't let it stop me. I was upset, but I was determined not to let it happen again. So I decided that I was going to use that as a motivator to go back to school so that my credentials and my resume would be such that this would not happen again. Soon after going back to school, 12 new positions opened up in my district. So how could I lose? I mean, it was meant to be. There was no way I couldn't get one of 12 jobs. So once again, I applied and I interviewed and I waited for that phone call. Hey, Jen, I'm sorry, we've decided to hire someone else. What? Seriously? I was crushed. So at this point, getting rejected for a job, a new position within my district twice, I was pretty desperate to change anything about my current job. So I accepted a position that was actually a lateral move, where I was still having the same schedule I had before, the same number of classes, the same, I don't know, I guess monotony, but I was just teaching a different subject. So I did that, but I was as determined as ever to move, to leave the district and go somewhere else and find another job. And you're probably thinking, well, yeah, Jen, why didn't you just leave and go get a job in another school district? Here's where things get tricky. The way that hiring works in teaching is that you are typically paid by the amount of schooling you have and the amount of years of experience that you have. Now, most schools will not they won't pay you any more than usually about 7 years, if that. So at this point, I would lose about half of the years that I had taught in experience, which added up to quite a chunk of change. It would be questionable whether or not I would be able to pay my mortgage, and that was kind of irresponsible. But even outside of all of that stuff, like, the odds of me getting called in for an interview were slim to none, because people would look at my resume and they would see the schooling. I'd gone back to school, the years I had taught, and like, they just knew, like, it's cheaper to hire somebody new. I was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't think I need to tell you that I wasn't able to find a job somewhere else due to all of the aforementioned type of things, but it was at this point that my desperation and frustration became really obvious. I was a miserable person to be around. I became deeply entrenched in that, like, negative teacher culture. I was a pill to be around. Everything was terrible. I was critical of everything. I would fight everything, kind of just because I was so upset about everything. I had a huge chip on my shoulder. Now, growing up, my mom had nicknamed me Eeyore, and I sort of wear my gothness and love for everything Halloween on my sleeve. Kind of literally. I guess I felt like when I entered this negative state, it was really just a part of who I was. Like, this is just who I am. It wasn't, that big of a deal. And wouldn't you know, the job that I had, gone for twice opened up yet again. I applied for it. My principal called me into her office just to tell me that she wasn't even going to interview me for the job. I stayed home the next day. Okay, maybe 2. I was inconsolable. I started Googling things like unhappy at work but can't leave. I wanted to rage quit. I wanted to torpedo my entire career. I was so angry, so frustrated. I also knew in the back of my head that I couldn't really do that and how stupid and irresponsible it would be since I had a child, a house, a spouse, all that fun stuff. So I didn't really, but definitely I entertained a lot of those kind of dark thoughts for a while. I was definitely arrogant. I felt like I was owed this job after all of the work and the years I had put in and all the hard work I had done in the back, going back to school. I felt like I was too good for other tasks, like they were beneath me. I never would have owned up to those feelings at the time, but now, taking an honest, deep look back at things, I know it in my heart that that was true. Now, were there other factors, out of my control that probably contributed to my situation? Possibly, but I certainly wasn't helping things. Now, here's the funny part. In my Googling, I actually found an article that I credit to helping change a lot of my attitude in this situation. And the title of the article is How to Change Your Attitude When You Cannot Change Your Situation. This article actually comes from the self-help website, Mind Body Green. Now, the article listed 5 steps that you can take to change your attitude, your perspective on things. The first step is acceptance, just to acknowledge that you're unhappy. The second step is understanding that positivity is a choice and that I was actually choosing to be pessimistic. Now, I was chalking that up to my gothness and just how I was, but in reality, I was just accepting those labels that have been placed on me in adolescence, and it can be really difficult sometimes to kind of change those labels and perspectives that people put on you from a long time ago. Step 3 is to use positive words. Using negative words and being critical all the time had just become like second nature to me, and it was one of those habits. And until I really made the effort to be conscious of it, I couldn't really change things. And you know what? It's a habit that I am not cured from, and I have to catch myself quite a bit, kind of doing those things to actively change the way that I talk and the words that I use and the language that I use, to not be so critical and negative all the time. So step 4 is to surround yourself with positive people. Now, I had been working through the whole first half of the day to go to lunch, to just talk like about all the bad things that had happened and during the day, and to be really negative. And one of the things I didn't realize was that impact that I was having on other people around me, and that my bad attitude was actually infectious, and the people around me would start to get really negative, and vice versa. So until I realized that and really tried to break that habit, there was definitely something that was contributing to my attitude, but also was causing harm to others around me. Step 5 was to have a daily affirmation. Now, I took all those things into consideration that I had talked about earlier, and I came up with my own daily affirmation that I actually put onto my phone's home screen. And my daily affirmation read, "This is not an ideal situation, but I am not above this, and I am going to rock it." Now, what this looks like in real life when I'm at work is that I've really tried to stop fighting and complaining about things that happen at work, like a lot of those kind of time-wasting initiatives and things that we have to do. Instead of complaining about it, I've just tried to go with the flow a lot more. By just doing the thing maybe that I thought was a time waster and just getting it over with allowed me the time and the energy that I could spend my efforts towards something that I felt was actually worthwhile. Now, it's really important for me to note that at this time that I was doing all of this work, I had also sought out help from a licensed counselor, and that my doctor had also started me on medication for anxiety and depression. Now, I bring this up because I really cannot overstate the importance of seeking out appropriate help when needed. And I also want to help kind of eliminate and decrease that stigma of teachers and mental health issues, and reaching out for help. It's super important, and no set of steps, no matter how good they might be, are going to help you if there's a greater issue beyond that. So in closing, changing people's long-standing beliefs about you and perceptions is a long process. It's a slow process. You'll slip into your old habits and ways, and basically just by becoming self-aware and willing to take meaningful steps will result in a shift in your mindset and in the way other people perceive you, of those people around you. Being more positive can help make other people more positive. In the end, I'm still at my same job. It is not an ideal situation, but I am not above it, and I am going to rock it. Thank you.